Aloha, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's an honor to meet you here. My name's Sydney. I'm a psychic energy healer and embodiment guide. And today I want to talk about intuition, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and why it is actually the most underrated leadership skill, especially now. So, what is intuition? Intuition is the ability to resource direction, guidance, support from your own knowing, from your own, I would say, multidimensional sense and perception. It is a gift and a way of perceiving that all humans have. Our body is wired with an intuitive sense. In fact, our whole body is really wired, or I would say built, cellularly structured to be a barometer for intuitive information and truth. So I have been working in the field of intuitive healing and training intuitive healers for almost a decade, over a decade in some cases. And I just so excited about this time that we're in now because it really feels like there's such a massive awakening happening where people are now more open and receptive to this concept of intuition and developing their abilities and their gifts, and where it maybe used to be made fun of as being woo-woo or whatever, we're afraid of it also, right? We're up against a big history, long history, centuries long history of persecution, where many people who were intuitive and very wise leaders and healers were systematically killed over many centuries. And so we're up against a lot of history that still can color some of our social order today, where there can be fear of being intuitive, or there can be fear of, losing one's mind or losing one's grounding and logical reality, or a lot of conditioning as well, I would say, to disempower people intentionally from being intuitive. Because when you're empowered in your intuition, you can see new possibilities and potentials. You are highly inspired in your creative abilities. You are tending to live along your true soul's path, your unique purpose, your authentic path. And this can sometimes be a threat to the status quo. So I'm so grateful for this time that we're in, where energy is just moving so fast at the speed of light, literally, on the planet and through our bodies. And really, many are having this awakening experience where many of their intuitive abilities are coming online. Maybe you who are listening now and connecting in this resonance field. And so there's never been a better time to really become more aware of how your intuition speaks to you and cultivate it as a great gift and a resource. It's one of the most efficient ways to strategize in your life, in your business, in your relationships. It's like having this all access compass to anything you really want, anything you want to know, anything you are curious about, anything you want help with. And it's like having an automatic dial up, like at any moment, to ask what is best. What is the next right step? What is important for you to know? Now, when I instruct practitioners in learning the Akashic Records or other intuitive modalities, we actually have a distinction between intuition and then channeling information from guides or other sources, because they can be slightly different. But for the purposes of this conversation today, maybe we'll get into the more advanced stuff at another point in another video. Um, the intuition is really step one, to start to get intimate with your inner voice, with your inner knowing, with your inner guidance. And one of the best ways to do this is to start some kind of a meditation practice. Meditation doesn't have to mean sitting still, quiet, silencing the mind. I've never been able to silence my mind, by the way. Sometimes I have moments where the mind is really quiet, but that's not the point. There's a lot of misinformation out there about what meditation is. Meditation can also be active. It's anything done with presence, anything. And so actually I feel what we're meant to be doing now is living as though we're in a meditation, living with presence, right? And then living in our intuitive knowing that as we come into more of our embodiment, cultivate more presence and calm, we can actually hear ourselves. So prior to more embodied experience, you may have found in your life, this is, I know, my experience, I was very disassociated. I was not really in my body. There's a lot of trauma and fear and pain in my body I didn't really have the capacity to face. And so it was much easier to be popped out of my body and in the higher dimensions and just, not really present to feel all that was here and being kind of harbored from not only this lifetime, but all that I had inherited from my ancestral biology. But then eventually along the path of awakening, you have a choice to come in more, right? And as you start to embody more, your intuitive sense starts to come online quite naturally. Because again, the body and the intuition are interconnected. The more inside of ourselves we are, the more access we have to our intuitive knowing. And so especially now with energy hitting us and the planet, we're just being really supported in our embodiment and then in our heightened intuitive sensitivities coming online and all kinds of new expressions as well. So, if you are curious about how to cultivate more of your intuitive abilities, especially in terms of utilizing intuition as a strategy in your business, in your life, in your leadership, just in all of your creativity, one of the best things you can start practicing is some kind of a meditation practice, right? That can get you into a present, calm, open hearted space. I like to do some version of breath, movement, and sound. It can even just be for a couple minutes, it doesn't have to be for a really long time. Anything done with intention, anything done with presence is a meditation. So you can sit and just take a few deep breaths. And then to help integrate this connection between mind and body, and invite the intuition in. After doing that brief meditation, whatever feels good for you, you can practice writing, practice journaling. And the specific way I would have you to do this is to ask a question that you want guidance on. It could be anything at all, right? And how you can start to differentiate your mind or, kind of past patterning, personality, trauma, all the things that have made up you and your lens of the world, all those filters and projections, you can start to differentiate that from your intuition through this exercise. And I have all my students do this in our Soul Source Facilitator training. It's very helpful, especially as you're starting to learn how to channel in other energies and information beyond the intuition. But the intuition is step one. So get your journal and then write at the top of one page the question that you want guidance on, and then answer the question with logic. Answer the question with your analytical mind. You're giving someone advice on this question. Write it out. Then come through another meditative couple moments, center, calm, and then on the other page, write the same question, but this time really write from your intuition. Start to feel how that information comes, and don't try to write right away, actually. Really ask the question and ask it in your consciousness, ask it in your awareness, and start to see if you access a different source of information, if it's coming from maybe a different direction, or you start to feel a sensation in a different way, or maybe you hear something. We all have different ways of integrating intuitive information. It can be through any senses at all. It can be like through a picture, a sound, a memory, a sensation in the body, temperature change, pressure change, all kinds of different things. And just play and stay with a really deep breath. Stay open. Sometimes people get in the way of accessing their intuitive messages by trying to attach and then clenching the body and attaching. Where's the answer? Where's the answer? And then nothing can really be received because you want to keep the body open and relaxed to receive. And if nothing's really coming, just return to the breath, ask the question again, just practice. This is how you start to open those channels. And sometimes the answer doesn't even come in the moment you ask. Usually it will, but sometimes it doesn't. Again, we're all different. And sometimes the answer might come later in dreams. It might be shown, increasingly so, it will be shown to you in your life, where symbols or people will emerge to give you the answer that you asked for. And this is so fun. And this is how we can become more co-creative with life. And then you might want to try just writing out the answer eventually, but writing from that intuitive voice. It can help sometimes certain people to imagine your intuition as a persona, personify it as a character, as a being that is giving you that guidance, and then write it out. And this could even be your higher self, your soul. This is a fun way to cultivate that discernment. What is your intuitive guidance? And you write it out and then see if it's different. What you wrote for your intuitive guidance, it's different probably from the logical advice or guidance. Or you might even not get words. You might just get images. You might get a word here and there. Everyone is so different. This is why I love to be in groups and practice this together, because everyone is an oracle. Everybody, when given the permission, can access profound information and guidance. And it's so much fun to see. And it's so much fun to witness what can come through and what we are all capable of sharing, and how wise and brilliant and creative we all are. So especially for leaders and executives and people running organizations, in any relationship, really, this is such an incredible gift. It is such an incredible gift to move from your intuitive guidance and awareness. And the more that you practice, the stronger it becomes, the more you receive, and the more instantaneous it also can come through right in your life. So you start with some of these practices, but then eventually you don't really write it out anymore. And you just have this feeling of knowing and affirmation because you follow that guidance enough that you realize that when you follow it, you're in alignment with your path, and things are starting to feel more easeful and in flow and resonance and just magic and synchronicity. It's like being in a stream. no longer swimming upstream. Like if I'm living only in the mind and analytical perspective, it feels like going upstream. It feels like trying to control. There's fear and contraction and comparison and worry. Whereas if I'm in a more intuitive flow state that's inviting more presence and embodiment and coherence, I'm implicitly trusting myself more. I'm trusting life more. I have more faith that I'm supported. I feel more abundance. I feel more receptivity. I feel more connected to everything that is. And so I feel more a part of life, and I feel more magnetic, and I feel like I'm receiving more of the support and guidance and correct connections and just way more fun, honestly. I feel so much more plugged into the source and the stream of life. And so I know this is possible for all of us, especially now. And this is also such an implicitly healing tool. When you cultivate your intuition, you're becoming more embodied, more present, more resourced. Your nervous system is becoming more regulated, and it's transformational. So it sounds really simple, but it's profound. And I would love to know how this practice goes for you. Feel free to leave any comments in this video so I can learn from you and connect with you. And if you have other specific questions that come up, please feel free to share. I will look forward to making more videos on this, as it is just my passion. And I love nothing more than to watch people just turn that inner light on and start to trust themselves and bring through the incredible wisdom that they have, that you have, that each and every one of us has. And imagine what kind of world we live in when more of us are trusting that inner guidance, that intuitive, creative sense. It speaks really quickly, honestly. When you start to really listen to it, you'll notice it sometimes is the first voice. And then you can become more discerning that like the mental or analytical or logical, more entrained voice guidance, it comes later. It's slower. It's less efficient. It's based in old programs of fear and control and survival patterns, conditioning. Whereas the intuition is speaking right away. And we're meant to trust its guidance. It's our inner navigation. It's meant to really help us in every moment. And it's such a gift to give ourselves this awareness and just the space to practice and reattune and remember and resurface what we've always had within. Thank you so much for connecting today. It's an honor to be with you here. May your presence be a blessing out in the world. May you have fun. Enjoy the show. And see you next time. Bye.